So I
focus.
believe we should begin. Thank you so much for the chat and a warm welcome to everyone. I'm very, very happy to see so many of you here. Um, my plan for today is the following. So first of all, I would just like to give a very brief introduction of who I am, what I do, and why I'm offering this session. I would actually like to learn about what is it that brings you here. So if at any point you would like to share that, and we could also make this session as interactive as you would like it to be, that would be wonderful. So my name is Erzsébet Strausz. I'm an assistant professor at CEU in Vienna. I teach international relations. I specialize in critical theory, in post-structuralism, and I'm also very much interested in creative and critical pedagogy. So whatever I will be sharing and presenting, I also bring that to my writing and also to my pedagogy. I'm also one of the academic co-conveners of the ECPR Futures Lab summer school, which was planned for this summer, which invites early career academics, PhD students, and it takes a holistic view on the academic profession as such. So with my co-convener, Professor Erin Jenny from CEU, we thought about the PhD, the postgraduate experience as something that is multidimensional and should be yielding a series of transferable skills which do not stop at publishing, grant writing, networking, but also looks at productivity, also looks at self-care, looks at what we do in everyday life as academics and also its impact. So my interest in mindfulness stems from, of course, my own personal journey as a PhD student and as an early career academic. I really wanted to work on my focus. I felt that, well, I've got things to say, but how is it that I cannot properly express them in I don't know, in writing, in articles? Like, why is it that productivity stays a bit low and my attention was scattered all the time? So that was my biggest motivation also for finishing my PhD many years ago, which took an unexpected turn. So I had to rewrite it. I needed a method to be able to write a new PhD in 3 months. And that's where meditation entered my life. I felt, okay, I need to change something about the system within which I'm working so that I can create that extraordinary output, as a PhD for sure is not supposed to be written in 3 months. So I also research mindfulness through what I would call the politics of attention in contemporary governance. I will be sharing some of the grounds of that. When it comes to mindfulness, though, there is also a really strong neuroscience, brain research basis to that. We could also take this session in that direction, but I thought I would rather approach it through our interest in politics and political processes and society anyway. So how we can link some of these macro practices to what we do in everyday life at the micro level, and develop a take on mindfulness, productivity, efficiency through that. So the plan is I would be introducing some of the key concepts, notions that I use. I will also be giving, just sharing really like what are those tricks, hacks that actually have worked for me and how we can think about attention systematically, which I believe does help. Of course, if anyone develops a meditation practice, that's wonderful. I even encourage my students to do that. And moreover, I conduct meditation sessions free of charge to CEU students, faculty, staff, which has now become, since COVID-19, CEU and friends, which means that whoever would like to join from any part of the world, I mean, these are regular meditation sessions happening once a week. They are more than welcome to do so. So if you would like to develop an actual meditation practice, please email me. I would be very happy to include you. These meditation sessions go exactly like this, with cameras, mics off. It's all about working on how we use our attention. How is it that we can create and cultivate connection to ourselves, and also through that change how we relate to what we do in everyday life. Because, as I also emphasize, when it comes to teaching, when I consult students, we are infinitely capable. We are capable of so much more than what we may be able to experience in everyday life. It's never the lack of talent, it's never the lack of ability, but rather how we can unlock that. What is it that we need to do to unblock that ability, that we can really flourish and use all the resources that we can have access to. And our brains are beautiful cosmic devices. Like, there are so many functions that we have not explored yet. And what I would like to do today is to also give you some points of references in how we can become just more aware of how we use our attention. Why does it matter? Wherever psychic energy goes, wherever our attention goes, there is already some kind of a relating, there is a relationship. So it has an effect on us, it impacts how we are, what we do. I'll go into this in more depth. Actually two announcements I would like to make before we start. So for the second part of this session, I have planned a meditation-based writing exercise. It should take about 20-25 minutes. So that will be towards the end. This is also something that I've been researching, the transformational potential of writing. And so first we'll do a short mindfulness meditation exercise, and then it will be a guided writing practice of, say, 3 or 4 5-minute writing spurts. And we can experience, I believe, some really interesting things. So if any of you may have a writer's block or would just like to explore more about what is it that you are working on, that could be anything academic or non-academic. Writing is going to help. It will help you take it all forward. So that will be the last section of this session. So if you have questions, if you'd like to share anything, I believe it would be better to do before the writing exercise, because that will just transport us to a different dimension. So this session is recorded, but if anyone would like to, of course, those parts where it's a free conversation will be edited out, and we can also stop the recording anytime. So please do not feel discouraged because of the recording. I would really like you to engage. So let me just, if there is anything anyone would like to share at this point, they are very welcome to do so. Because I am also always interested, like, what is it that brings people to mindfulness? What is it that we are looking for? What is it that we are searching for? Surely there is a desire for self-improvement. We all want to do better, or we want to enjoy better health, well-being. There can be many different motivations, and I trust that I get to know you a little more as we move ahead. So first, I would actually like to invite you to participate in a little experiment. I'll be sharing my screen for a bit. I would like to make one important point regarding how our mind works, and I think it's fascinating. Like, since I've engaged in it and internalized some of its implications, it's been profoundly life-changing. So let me just share. This slide with you. This will only take a few moments. I would just like you to make eye contact with this lemon here and just observe what's happening. And now I would like you to look at these lemon slices and just see. Now we've established some visual contact with these images. And if you wanted to take this process further, and you may as well just do this as I guide you. If you close your eyes and just imagine this lemon, imagine squeezing out the lemon juice, putting it in a glass, and you imagine drinking the lemon juice. Just follow, observe what happens as you do this thought experiment. It's a thought experiment. Imagining if there was a lemon, we cut it, we squeeze the juice, and we drank the juice. Now, many of you may experience some bodily reactions, responses, some salivation. If you did, that's very, very good, because it really exposes something about how our brain is not able to distinguish between what is physical reality and what is a thought, what is imagination. There was, I assume for most of you, some kind of a physical reaction, physical response, but there is no lemon. Like, we only engage with the thought and the image of a lemon, and that of a lemon juice and drinking it. So in that sense, how we perceive what we do in everyday life, in academic life, is very much dependent on the kind of thoughts we would be having, because our brain cannot really distinguish between whether that's factual reality or that is actually something that is a thought about something. One of the points that I would like to make regarding attention and regarding psychic energy thoughts, like where does our attention go in everyday life? In any case, there is a relationship. Just by looking at something, by engaging with something, by thinking something, there is a relationship that is being created. It may not be conscious at all, right? It may be completely unconscious, but just like it works with laptops and computers, whatever we come in touch with is recorded. It's going to be stored as memory. It's going to be stored as experience. And, you know, these may be lots of things which we don't actually need, but they are there. And just like on a computer, they also have the potential to pop up at some random point in time. So in that sense, this is one of my points of entries into thinking about attention and focus and how we can consciously work with it. Because whatever our attention goes, we establish some kind of a relationship with it. There will be a relating, there will be a record of it. It will have an impact in our lives. The other important point that I would like to make, and this is where political science research, this is where IR research also comes into the picture. The quality of attention, also the kind of quality of attention and how we use it, also has the ability to connect or to separate us from what we are doing, with also when it comes to who is it that we are engaging with in our everyday lives. If we all want to achieve amazing focus, that means that we should have no separation whatsoever from what we are doing. It should be a complete immersion. But there is also a broader implication of that. And I would just like to make a couple of short points. We could discuss all these for, you know, like a separate session. But one thing which we need to be aware of is exactly like particular tendencies, social structures, which condition us how we use our attention. And I wanted to show you a picture from a photo series by Eric Pickersgill called Removed. So this photo series documents everyday people in everyday situations. What he did was that he edited out the smart device. As you can see, this couple would be holding their smartphones. There are also brilliant pictures which show a family dinner where everyone is, holding a tablet. And if the tablet is not there, we can just see like an awkward body movement. Like, why would someone be holding their hands like that? Going beyond that, it's not only about personal social alienation, but also some kind of what we would call like a war for attention, like where your attention would go as you search Google. What is it that you would be like, you would be unlike? What ads would make it onto your horizon of perception? So in that sense, there is a war for attention. We can also see its implications when it comes to influencing election results, like how attention is actually actively engaged also when it comes to social political governance, which at the same time is also a war on attention, because what we all are conditioned to develop is more like an emptied out way of gazing, right? So if we look at, for instance, this particular campaign in the UK, I was at the University of Warwick when I actually conducted a project on different visual representations of securitization. So since 9/11, visual campaigns which would condition people as a form of public pedagogy to become suspicious, to be suspicious of their environments. If you just think about the quality of that particular gaze, which is directed at things, directed at people, that's not a particularly open or welcoming one. So we've been conditioned in that sense to be suspicious. It's an anticipatory gaze. There's a big literature on that, which already draws some invisible boundaries between people, and also limits and restricts, how particular situations, encounters can unfold. So for instance, this toy bag would make no sense whatsoever. No one would understand why this is funny or not so funny if there was not already a certain regime of, I would say, of anticipatory gazing, which is also grounded in suspicion and also, to a large extent in fear. This would make no sense whatsoever. No one would buy it because we would not know what it actually means. Having said that, so in that sense, the quality of attention, how we use it, how we use our attention, like are we using it for potentially looking for signs of threats, of danger in our environment, which necessarily separates us from others because the other becomes threatening or a vehicle of a potential threat. There are many other ways in which attention can also be used very, very differently. And here I would just very briefly want to mention a project that Amnesty International conducted, Look Beyond Borders. Now, this is probably another take on what could be called the politics of attention, when attention can actually create connection rather than separation. This project is very interesting. The prompt, the way it happens, the setup it happens, is that refugees arriving, I believe, in Germany, were brought together with local Europeans. And the task that they were given is that they would be sitting right in front of each other for 4 minutes without saying a word, like 4 minutes of uninterrupted attention. They were just looking into each other's eyes, right? Someone who arrived from outside Europe as a refugee, as an asylum seeker, and someone who's a local inhabitant of a European city. And what this experiment actually found is that intimacy, connection between two complete strangers unfolded in some very, very beautiful ways. Like after 4 minutes, when people stood up, they actually gave each other a hug. many of them hugged each other without knowing even each other's names. But because of that presence, because of that unconditional, uninterrupted quality attention that they were able to give to the others, something happened. So in that sense, there are many ways in which social structures, global governance. I often forget about my title. I'm actually assistant professor in global governance. So this is very important. Would condition us to frame and mold like this seemingly micro aspect of our everyday experience and existence, like where we would channel, where we would direct our attention. We can also find ways in which we can take ownership over it, find ways in which we can use our attention productively. We can also use that to create different personal and social outcomes. So this is what motivates from a research point of view, what I do. And this is also what I bring to the classroom, like how we can cultivate, if you like, pedagogies of attention, where we can be present to ourselves and also to each other differently through a different quality. And here I would like to offer just a few ways how we can think about cultivating personal and also maybe classroom pedagogical practices. Like what is it that we can do to work with attention so that we can not only be more focused, more efficient in our lives, but actually the quality of our relationships, the quality of our embeddedness in our everyday life is also going to change because we'll just be more connected. Like one thing which of course I also had to work with, and I believe many of us did. Often academic study encourages us to displace ourselves somewhere in an abstract bubble. So to feel a bit disconnected from what it is that we are actually researching or teaching or doing is not uncommon in academia. This is how I would put it. Many of you may agree with this. And I also trust that many of you never had this experience, which is wonderful. If you always felt connected and fully aware of like what is it that you are working for and why, that's a wonderful thing. For many people it's not quite like that. So a lot of critical reflection, abstract thinking can actually create a disconnection. For me, while I was doing my PhD, one of the tests which I often did to myself was like what happens to my PhD research when I'm visiting my grandmother who spent, say, 6 years in school. Is my PhD research going to create a better connection between the two of us, or even maybe create some obstacles? And of course, the great thing is that, like family relationships are of course, more stable. My grandmother didn't really care about my PhD research because we had just, like a shared family history and a life together. But none of the concepts that I worked out in my research would have been important in cultivating something that is meaningful. And I often found that, the more I spend in higher education, the less connected I will be to different sections of society, even to different parts of my own family. And I felt, okay, well, let's find a way in which we can, create some more bridges so that we can actually enhance connection. So what are the ways in which we can systematically think about where attention goes? And one concept that I want to kind of work with today are economies of attention. So this is where it becomes more like a hands-on practice-based workshop. So what is it that we can do to be able to first become aware of where our attention would be going throughout the day, from the time we wake up till the time we go to bed? Because our ability to focus and to concentrate very, very largely depends on that. If we are wanting focus, focus works a bit like using a magnifying glass, which collects the rays of the sun, and then it can create heat. It can, something can light up. Now, one of the reasons for that is that all the light rays would be focused in a single point. So there would be a lot of kind of pressure going into that point, so that that breakthrough can happen, that from the state of there is no fire, there can actually be actual fire. Now, when it comes to focus, we can be in our most effective state when there are no distractions. And I know that many of you may be aware of that. Surely we all struggle with, not only notifications coming from all angles, but also emails coming in. One invitation I would like to give here is first, use our diagnostic skills also as a way to diagnose and map out where energy and attention actually goes throughout the day. How is our work routine built up? From the time we open our eyes, what happens next? Because the lesser the distraction, the more we can actually direct that psychic energy into the completion of a particular task. I would distinguish here three main areas. One would be the physical environment. Whatever may be there, subconsciously, unconsciously, would be impacting on us. So of course, one thing to look at always is the workspace. What is it that we surround ourselves with? And also, the digital world is part of that. I started to use all sorts of blocker programs, which would block, for instance, social media to load while I'm working. I would be using many, different ways in which I can orchestrate and arrange an environment which is as clutter-free as possible. So it is definitely worth looking at just in and by itself, the physical environment. And another thing I would also encourage all of us to engage with is that, our physical bodies are also part of that infrastructure. So what is it that we actually need to be able to present in an embodied fashion, to really be present for the task that we are accomplishing? This can vary for everyone. There could be different things that you feel would help. One thing I would definitely recommend, and you may have a different experience, the morning hours are very, very, very important. And so when it comes to waking up in the morning, this is also something that can be backed up by science. Our brain frequency is still a bit lower than what we would normally use for working productively. That means that we are also very, very sensitive in the morning, very receptive to information. So here's one important option, possibility for all of us to take ownership over where our attention goes. It's a small thing, but it makes a big difference. What is it that you do first thing in the morning? So if you already check your phone, read the news, respond to emails, or at least check the emails, right? Your attention already goes to a second point. It's no longer, within you for you to explore and cultivate and strengthen that focus, but rather it's already going into, say, someone else's problem, someone else's issue. So in that sense, I would definitely recommend, and this is the second point, which is very important besides the physical infrastructure, including keeping our bodies well, the cultivation of habits, which will actually yield the outcome that you would like to achieve. So there's been a lot of research on this, and James Clear had a very successful book called Atomic Habits. Many of you may know that already, where he makes the point that it all comes down to small adjustments in everyday life, like just becoming 1% better every day is going to bring remarkable improvement, whereas if we kind of decline 1% every day, like to say that, yes, I know I should be waking up, but I'll just, put the snooze on, or yes, I will check social media first. Yes, I know I should not be doing that, but well, it doesn't matter, right? Like also when it comes to diet, I mean, one of the key things is consistency, like being consistent about what we plan, what we set up. So building a habit, building a routine and a ritual which is working for you and also allows you to connect with what is it that you carry in yourself, right? Like what is it that your well-being, your emotional state, like what is it that's present in the first place? So some kind of a morning routine, a morning ritual, which will allow you to connect, to touch base with where your attention actually is, because this is something that often we don't reflect on. So we may be sitting down wanting to do work, whereas our mind is, can be somewhere else. So that's not going to yield necessarily a very productive working session. So that kind of an awareness, and this is, mindfulness is about being able to master how and when we use our attention for what exactly. So that level of awareness of, knowing where my attention is and how we can call that back. Like if, our minds become busy with problem solving, there are many articles, even research. Harvard Business Review tends to publish a lot on mindfulness in conjunction with efficiency, right? Like harnessing the power, the energy which can be unlocked in that way. So when it comes to like awareness and attention, often we are not even aware. So for us for anything to become changeable, so that we can really change something, first we have to know, where the attention really is, so that we don't bring like maybe other thoughts, other concerns into what we would be doing unnecessarily. So in cultivating that, for instance, I developed the habit, and we are talking about like 5 minutes allocated to each element of a ritual that I would do every morning. I mean, I of course meditate, but even if I didn't, there would be a couple of things which I would actually do to make sure that I can be present to my life, which is starting in that morning for that day. One thing which I believe is very useful is some kind of a mindfulness technique. I will show you also a breathing technique which can help you recenter in like 2 or 3 minutes. These can be learned and can be used as well. So I would definitely do something which is meditation based, which is breathing related, so that I can connect with my body. And in the morning, I would take like 5 minutes for my self-improvement, especially if it's a busy day. So I cultivated a habit of looking at, like researching, it's like light touch research, productivity hacks, which means that on Medium or in any other outlet, I would read like maybe 1 4 or 5 minute long article on what is it that I could do differently. So already in the morning, this means that I'm not already solving someone else's issue, but I'm looking for inspiration, and it can be anything. So how we can make space already, like consciously, say every morning, that there is space for us to become inspired, to do something better, to do something differently. And the sooner we can do that, the better, because the moment we get into a responsive or a reactive mode, more like a responsive mode, that there is something that we are already responding to, that kind of a control and the possibility to cultivate a different quality of attention is almost already gone. Now, the third thing, which I believe belongs to mapping out, and this is the tricky one, this is challenging, but the most worthwhile of everything I've done until now. We also have to look at like those layers of emotional patterns, which are actually present in everything that we do, including academic work or non-academic work, whatever we do in our lives. So as I often and all the time affirm to my students, it's never the lack of talent. Someone feels stuck in finishing an essay. Is it about the writing skill? No. Is it about the knowledge? Not necessarily. Like whoever is at studying at university, BA, MA, whatever, have already developed enough sufficient knowledge to pull off an essay, at least in terms of the word count. That's not an issue. It's more like, again, the thoughts, the associations, which are present when it comes to a certain task. So any assignment is an empty structure. Like we feel that with a certain emotional charge, and this is where a lot of neuroscience could come in. Stress and anxiety often comes from earlier conditioning where there would be a fear, maybe of failure, there would be a fear of unworthiness, a fear of not being able to make something happen. And the current task may have absolutely nothing to do with that, yet that conditioning, that belief, that emotion may actually be present, and that's what's blocking. So this is how I would advise, especially those of my students who come and do meditation, just observe what is present when you think of that task emotionally. Like, what are the fears? Where do you feel you are unsure? Or what is the source for you for feeling stuck, not being able to move ahead? And the moment they begin to bring awareness to that. So this is also like just expanding the horizons of how we think of ourselves as infinitely versatile and creative human beings. There is just so much more to how we work, and often we have to drop below the cognitive level. We have to drop below like what we would be thinking. We have to engage it. What is it that we are actually feeling? Because there can be a disjunction, a disconnect. And this is where I believe we can cultivate a different, like a very, very supportive relationship to ourselves in the first place, like looking at ourselves as we are very, very capable. We are also on the path of finding solutions. So, I mean, if we can do that belief work and also the reprogramming of previous habit, also how we can undo previous experiences of failure, we can actually open up a lot of space for new creativity and also new experiences in how we do academic work. I did my PhD, and this is why I had to write it anew. I decided to rewrite completely my PhD. That was a long time ago, because I felt I actually want to explore how I am turning into a knowing subject while I'm undertaking this PhD. So I thought I've alienated at that point I've alienated myself enough from, you know, like different concepts of sovereignty that I was looking at. I felt, yes, I've kind of worked so hard at cracking, you know, the internal logic of how these concepts come together, but I can no longer feel anything. I no longer know why I'm doing that. And that's when I embarked on a process of narrative exploration. That's how I started to use writing to reconnect with, okay, but what is it that's really here for me, for my curiosity, for my learning, for my growth. And while I felt disconnected and often in a state of panic, and this is again where neuroscience comes in, when we are in a stress mode, we are not capable of creative thinking. It can come after the stress is gone. But when there is stress, when there is anxiety, our bodies switch to a survival mode, which is going to limit all functions which are not necessary. And going back to the lemon, there may be no imminent real danger but this is what our perception may be of that current situation. So once again, learning about our own reactions and how we can transform them, how we can direct energy in a different way so that we can move beyond what may feel like a block, I believe is very, very important and very useful. I could talk about this for ages, so please do indicate it if you'd like to hear more about this. Now, after having done like a thorough mapping of where attention and energy goes and also where it comes to be blocked, physical environment, the body, different habits, which also create a system for us, and also the actual experience, the actual emotions through which we participate in something. We can also think of particular practices which will help us transform how we use attention. And here I would like to emphasize that every grain of effort contributes to something. I would like to just bring maybe 3 or 4 different examples for how we can transform attention. And one exercise I actually use in the classroom, which is called attentive listening. So we can actually learn how we can use all our physical senses to be more mindful, to be more focused or centered. We just have to find a way how we can get ourselves out of that everyday conditioning in which we may find ourselves in. Attentive listening, this is something I would assign in a classroom. I would ask students in pairs to give each other, like, say 4 or 5 minutes of undivided attention, where they would just be listening to, say, how the other has understood or worked with different readings, without them interjecting, without them even nodding, just giving space, just being present. And this is also something we can practice in everyday life. What if we just really learned how to listen to people? Just be present without interjecting, without responding immediately. We can actually gain some beautiful control over lots of things in our lives when we learn how we can just be a witness and an observer and just allow space for things to unfold rather than wanting to control it, which would normally happen on the basis of the conditioning that we already have. One of my students came back to me not that long ago, and she said, well, first I thought these listening exercises in the classroom were really weird, but what I understood later on is that when the course was over, I felt almost like a bit insulted that I noticed that my friends would actually not even my friends would give me that attention. We just interject all the time, and I started to miss that different quality of engagement. So again, we can bring the same attitude to any other practice where we would choose to be fully present. So I've got a glass of water here. I could choose to drink this glass of water just by focusing on every tiny micro element of it, how I touch the glass, what the water tastes like. That's also another way through which, like, alternative experiences can be cultivated. We have to keep at them. We have to maybe put the aim that every day I'm going to eat my lunch mindfully, which means that no phone. I am just going to concentrate on me eating and enjoying my food. But again, the power of habits is huge. Now, and this is where I would like to introduce writing as a potential tool for transformation and self-transformation. So what also happens when it comes to working with some of the unconscious limiting beliefs which are present, how we can transform and rewrite them. First of all, we of course need to know what these are, but then we also need a mechanism in place which can transform, which can change a limiting belief of, say, me not being good enough or not capable, to how I can really connect with my ability to work things out. Like we've worked so many things out in this life, including, say, learning a language when we were very, very small. We even did that. We worked out how to push down the handle. There's been a lot of trial and error. So there are other, innate modes of learning which are present with us, which we can activate, we can use to our own benefit. I mean, of course, what I would recommend is to think about all these elements and just maybe make a list of which are the ones which you feel you would like to maybe implement, integrate, or experiment with in your life, and just add one thing at a time. Master it, play with it, explore it. Already that will be a very meaningful way to expand the horizons of mundane everyday actions, which all contribute to something larger. And it also has like a broader social implication. I don't want to proceed by broad brushstrokes here, but everything that we do and we cultivate as a way of life, as a mode of being, is going to influence and inspire others. Now, it is now that I would like to guide you on a writing journey. I believe we would still have just a few more minutes for conversation. If anyone would like to offer any thoughts or ask questions, here's the time and the space for that. And of course, if there's anything that may remain unanswered, please do reach out to me. Okay. So I would assume, are you ready for some writing? Please don't run away. This is going to be, I believe, something interesting to explore. Okay, so if there are no questions, I would like to introduce a short grounding practice. So if you would like to use handwriting, I would certainly encourage that. Why? Because handwriting activates a certain area in our brain, the Broca region, which connects us immediately with space and the context within which we are. So if you want to go deeper, explore deeper into anything that, for instance, a decision you would have to make in life, or how to refine your argument in a paper, introducing and like short spurts of free writing into your routine can work wonders. But for it to be even more effective, I believe it's very, very good for us first to move beyond that, beta wavelengths at which we do a lot of thinking, and also from where we speak, feel deeper into ourselves, our bodies, where we are at, connecting, and from there see what writing can actually bring. So if you are ready, I would like you to close your eyes, please. We are going to start with some breathing. Just to bring your awareness, your attention to your breath, and follow your breath. Breathe in joy, happiness, all the good things in life. Let it spread in your body, in all your cells. And on the exhale, just release all the anxiety, the stress, the tension, whatever may be there as a negative emotion. Just let your body detox. If we just think about our breathing, our body already knows what to receive, what to take in, and also what to let go of. So this can be as easy as breathing. Just visualize, imagine breathing in light, happiness, joy, laughter, abundance, ease. And on the exhale, release. whatever you may no longer need. Any expectation for yourself. Everything that may be troubling you. Very, very good. You can repeat this a few more times and you can cultivate this practice even further. This is very, very powerful. As you are breathing, you can follow your breath and just bring your awareness to that point at the end of the exhale, the junction between two breaths when you are not breathing. Just hold your attention there for a moment. And when you breathe in, again, hold your attention on the junction before you would exhale. So there are 2 points, 2 junctions. This is a very powerful practice which can even take us to enlightenment, to the complete transformation of how we've been wired. So just engaging with your breathing. Just follow your inhale. Hold your attention on the moment before you exhale. Just hold your attention at the point before you would inhale again. And while you are doing that, allow your body to relax. And now visualize that there is energy coming from the center of the earth, moving upwards through your feet, along your spine, moving upwards, 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 all the way to the infinite universe. And from the infinite universe, there's also a beam of light moving towards you. A beautiful, bright, radiant light moving downwards through the top of your head, along your spine, through your feet, moving to the center of the earth. Moving through all the volcanic energy, the diamonds, the rubies, going to the center of Mother Earth, and this energy is coming back again all the way along your spine to the infinite universe. Just feel that you are safely grounded, you are connected to both the physical, material dimension and also to the realm, the register of energy, of potential, of the possibility to be, to become, to transform, whatever may not be visible to the physical eyes. Concentrate on your spinal cord, and if you would like to enhance this practice even more, you can open your hands and turn them upwards. This is a very gentle way to be in a receiving mode, to receive energy, wisdom, information from the universe, from the cosmos. And just allow your body to rest in this way. Your spinal cord is becoming bright, shiny, it's activating. And now expand this light to the front, to the back, to the left, to the right. Expand this light, radiating through you from your spinal cord to the space where you are in, to the room, to the whole building, to the neighbors, to the people on the street, and beyond to the place where you are, to the town, to the city, to the country, You can just visualize like a wave of light is just spreading, expanding, regardless of borders, boundaries. The whole continent, to all the waters, all the trees, the living beings on Earth, all the other continents, to planet Earth, which now has a beautiful radiant halo, and even beyond, to the solar system, to the galaxy, and beyond. Allow yourself to expand as infinite light. Allow yourself to be in this state, and whatever you may experience, just observe it, let it be without judgment. And when you're ready, very gently bring your awareness back in between your two eyebrows. I would like you to concentrate your focus in between your two eyebrows. And I would like you to concentrate on either something that you are working on in your research or something that you would like to do in life. And now the first writing exercise begins. I'm going to time exactly 5 minutes. I'm going to let you know when it's starting. Just very, very gently, being gentle on yourself. I would like you to start writing now. So taking 5 minutes, what is it that brings you to this project, to this aim? What is your purest intention? Let us just connect with what is it that we do and what prompts that desire to complete a project, to write a book, to make a certain decision. So just 5 minutes of free writing. Without judgment. 30 seconds remaining. And I would like you to gently draw this reflection to a close. Let us just be in the process for a few more seconds. And I'm going to ask you again to write for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. I would like you to reflect on any concerns, any fears that you may have regarding this decision, this project. I would like you to reflect on if there may be anything that could feel heavy or difficult. Time is starting now. If you want to go even deeper, you could reflect on where is the other in this project? Who are the others that are also involved? Whatever comes, just write it all out. Thirty seconds remaining. So slowly draw your thoughts, your reflection to a close. Just be with your reflection for a few more moments. And there's going to be a last 5-minute writing stretch. In 5 minutes, I would now like you to reflect on what's the best thing that can come out of this project or this decision. What is the absolute best that all your energies and efforts can bring about for yourselves and especially for others? And go as wide and broad as you possibly can. What is the best thing that can come out of this? Of me committing time, energy, effort to completing this task or making that decision or wanting to achieve that future goal. Slowly drawing it to a close. There's going to be one final thing that we do. When you finished your third round of reflection, I would like you to very quickly go back to each of the 3 texts. Just have a quick look and underline something for yourself which you feel carries a certain intensity. Either it can be anything, just something which catches your eye now from what you wrote. Just underline it or mark it for yourself. Anything that may have been maybe a surprising way thinking about any of the questions. So please just make sure that you mark something in each three. And now the final exercise is that I would like you to look at these three things that you highlighted for yourself. This is going to be your personal wisdom generator moment. I would like you to write 3 sentences using all these different 3 things that you marked, bringing them into either a piece of advice for yourself or just bringing them together in a shared space. Just feel, see what may come. So if you wanted to bring all these 3 together, just use 1 minute exactly. You can use any positive thoughts to transform, but maybe limiting, or just let yourself find out what may come. So just 1 final minute to accomplish this. Starting now, bringing what you marked for yourself together, just in 1 minute, whatever may come. And please just draw it to a close and take a moment to appreciate all your reflections, the energy, the attention that has gone into that, the learning, anything that you may have found out through doing this. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining me for this session. I believe our time is coming to a close as well. With any questions, please feel free to reach out, to email me. I don't know if we can stay on this Zoom for a bit longer. If anyone would like to chat or have questions, they are more than welcome to do that. But once again, thank you so much, everyone. This has been a true gift to have your attention, to be able to connect in this way. Thank you, everyone.